the agenda. Murphy.
Doubt it. I think he'll probably just.
Good evening, and welcome to the Town of Stow Select Board meeting for November 28th, 2023. Our first order of business is public comment, if there is any. Please raise your hand if you have a public comment. You have up to 2 minutes. Please identify yourself, name and address. And this would be for anything that is not on tonight's agenda. Seeing none, do we have board member comments this evening? Let's move on to the town administrator's report.
Just a few things tonight. The board and committee code of conduct, just to give you all an update. We have received 38 signed code of conducts returned and 61 have not come back. So I will be sending out a notice tomorrow, giving folks another opportunity to send it in. So just as an update of where we stand with that. I also would add that some of you are on boards and committees and have not returned them. So you will get a reminder from me as well for positions that you serve on in appointed capacity. Some unfortunate news, the bids on the library project have come in well over budget. The current price is at about $1,200 a square foot, which has increased from $1,000 a square foot 2 months ago. So the building committee met last night with the design team and we are revisiting the design to see where additional costs can be cut. We have a couple of ideas. It's significant though. So we are trying to make some design changes that will keep in the scope of the project the elements that the community wanted to see, that we told the residents that we would be putting into this new building, as well as make sure that we maintain the programming space and the space needed for the library staff. So we're doing some redesign and hope to have this back out to market within 2 to 3 months. We were, if you'll recall, the week before special town meeting is when we had a dual cost estimate come in and we were right on target. And we actually met with the lowest bidder and had some conversations about pricing. Just an example, the fire suppression system is a filed sub bid. Under the law, we got one bid back at $780,000 more than what we had estimated by 2 different cost estimators. It's a small project for people. They don't want to tie up their business with a small project, even though it's a very large project for us. So we're going to do some work trying to market the project to general contractors, try to get some more business and some interest. But for folks that want to know why construction hasn't started, that's why. I'm also going to speak with the superintendent of streets in the morning to see if there's some exterior work that the highway department can help us with, do some clearing and excavating to take some of that out of the GC's hands, see if we can do some of that over the winter. We're looking at other things internally that we can do ahead of time. So we are working on that, but that's where it stands with the project right now. And I will be putting out a more formal press release with some of the specifics as to what's driving the cost up, just so that people can be aware of what's going on. This building, the town building, will be closing this Thursday at 1 o'clock to accommodate work to the water system. As part of the DEP requirements in the PFAS situation, we had to put in an entirely new water filtration system. And they've been working on it the last week or so. And now they need to do the cutover, which will take 3 to 4 hours. And we cannot operate a public facility with employees with no water. So it will not impact Thursday night meetings. We're expecting the water to be out from 1 to 4, maybe 5 o'clock at the latest. So the building will reopen Friday at regular operating hours. That's everything. That's it.
So we have some appointments tonight. Do you want to speak to those, Chief?
Sure. This is really the hot seat right in front of the camera.
Right.
So we'll start with John first. Okay. So as the board knows, we're going through a couple different transitions right now. The first one we have is Detective Fitzpatrick left the police department to become a Boston firefighter. He left back in September. This created an opening and an opportunity. A few months ago, we had interviews with both John Butler and John Fantasia here. They both were excellent candidates. And at that time, John Butler came out on top, and John came in second. Based on that opportunity, we offered John the position later on because we knew that there were going to be some openings. John's been with the police department for over 20 years with us. He's been in a reserve capacity and as a dispatcher and a dispatch supervisor. He started his career even before that with Hudson as a reserve officer over there. The opportunity now is under the new law. He's been able to complete all his certifications to become a full-time certified officer, which works out well. Based on his appointment, hopefully tonight, we'll put him in the rotation starting Thursday, which we actually, as of last week, we have another opening due to one of our officers leaving to become, to start his doctorate, thank you, his doctorate degree over at UMass Lowell. So he is pursuing that career. So he is left, he's left his shift now, so we'll be revisiting you with that opening coming up too. And I expect a few more from what I've been told about people transferring to other departments. So this will help us right in the now, and I recommend John to take over this position as a patrol officer. He's been working hard for us as a dispatch supervisor and a patrol as a reserve for many, many years, and it's finally, I think, his time to be bumped up.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Comments or questions from the board?
Nope, sounds like you're
Sounds great.
well qualified, well deserved, and congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
you're
please.
ready. Madam Chair, I move to appoint John Fantasia to the position of patrol officer for the Stow Police Department through June 30th, 2024.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous.
See you Thursday.
So you'll get some
What are you
paperwork.
planning? No.
And then you're gonna-
Wow, party.
Yes, yep. And I got you your badges.
Oh, that's so
And I've known John
cool.
for 30 years now, so like,
Wow.
his brother and I, we're close friends, so I've known him for a very long time. And I'm very proud that we can do this. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
very
you.
much.
Alright, moving on to Brandon Murphy, who is on Zoom.
Yeah, great.
So, Luke DeZago is, he was our current prosecutor. He's taking family leave to care for his new son, and then he's going to start his program to get his PhD and then move on to become a college professor. That's what his goal is. So that leaves opening the position of prosecutor. They handle all of our court paperwork. There are a liaison between the court and the police department. I put it out to the department, and Brandon stepped up for this position, which is great. It is per the collective bargaining agreement, the contract. I make the assignment with your approval, so I'm here to recommend Brandon to be appointed to, or I should say assigned to that position. And if you have any questions or want to say, there he is right there.
Hi, Brandon. Thanks for joining us.
Brandon?
Are you excited to have your day in court or many?
He exciting.
Does the board
Sorry, was there a question? I couldn't quite hear.
I was just joking around. I said, are you excited to have your day in court? Which it's a bad joke.
All right.
He's got a couple kids, so.
I see.
He's got his hands full, so he'll
Yeah.
definitely have his hands full here at the, picking up this new role, which he's already stepped into. Before Luke left, we had some good succession training, so Luke was able to fill him in on everything that he does, really bring him up to speed, and he's already stepped into the role already, so which is good.
Okay, well, thank you.
That's great. Thank you for stepping forward on that. Any other comments, questions?
Madam Chair, I move to assign Brandon Murphy to the position of prosecutor for the Stow Police Department through June 30th, 2024.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you, Brandon.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Little technology.
Yeah, just.
The wildlife of little kids.
Yes.
All right, so now you have some policy updates for us.
Which one would you like to start with?
Exposure control, please.
Yes, please.
So we first put in place, Chief Bosworth put in what's called a Department Infectious Control Officer. And what that is a individual that acts as a liaison between individuals that come in contact with some sort of infectious, like let's say get stuck by a needle. And if an officer does that, we go to the hospital, we get checked out, but because there's so many pertinent medical information, this person has training and how to get the information from the hospital can give the information from, let's say the person's record that, let's say the person A uses a needle that they've used and sticks an officer, we can get the medical history of that person. So it really, like, what kind of treatment, what can we do for this officer? It also documents everything for in case this officer comes down sick later on. That policy, we were able to update it, bring it into the current language. Not only that, but policy and procedure for decontamination, as well as the protocol on how to go, like what to do at the hospital, what to document, everything that we need to do, especially as a town, as a police department. How do we protect our officers, especially in the long run? If they do come down with something that's horrible that they have to be retired upon, how do we make sure that that is covered and make sure that all the documentation is protected? And that's what this policy goes into. We will, it is put out right now to the officers on who's going to become that person, and that will be determined at a later date by whoever I decide on that. And it's not heavy lifting, but there is still a little additional work that goes along with it. So this policy just brings us up to date on what we can do and how do we do it. So
Great.
that's really it.
Any questions, anybody?
I have a
Comments?
question.
Yeah.
So the previous policy had an infectious inspector, DICO.
Yeah.
So why isn't there one in the department now?
Darlene was the person,
Oh, okay,
so she's been gone for a while.
okay. Perfect. Well, thank you for doing this.
It also brings us up to the language that we put in here, also brings us up to the accreditation language, which we're working towards as well too. So that brings us up to that standard.
Great.
That's great. Madam Chair, I move to approve Police Department Policies 7.11 Exposure Control as presented by Police Chief Michael Sallese.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye, it's unanimous. Okay, policy 9.06.
Where did this come from? I love it. Did you create it?
No, I saw this, it goes along with the Governor's Executive Order 619.
Yeah.
So I did not reinvent the wheel on it.
Okay. Well, I was
I
very
thought it was
impressed.
really like a good use of of a policy of, it doesn't take away from the fact that we can buy water bottles, if we need to. We just don't buy the smaller ones as a department. This does not reflect that the officers limits them in any way possible to buy smaller water bottles. It just means that as a police chief, I will buy bigger ones if we need to. But I also put in here too that we do currently purchase the 5-gallon water bottles at the police station where everybody can use as drinking water. So I also put in here that I'll be purchasing, each of the Stow Police Department employees their own water bottle as well, like like a reusable fillable water bottle that they can use as well too. So it's just something I thought that was good for the environment, good for Stow. It's one of the directions that that Stow is going in. So I was like, why can't we do this? So.
I think they all got water bottles for Christmas one year, just saying.
Can't have too many water bottles.
And this was effective 2 weeks ago?
No, I'm sorry, it was not effective 2 weeks ago. That is when I wrote it, and that's a date back. I have to wait for you guys to approve of it. So once you give the approval, I will put the current date as of today, if you approve it. So no, that was when I sent it, when I was just typing it out. That was a typo on my end, so. Yeah, I don't put anything out unless I come here first,
Right.
so.
Any
Do
other
that.
comments or questions?
No, I think it's great.
Yeah, it's great.
Madam Chair, I move to approve Police Department Policy 9.06, eliminating the purchase by the Stow Police Department of single-use plastic bottles as presented by Police Chief Michael Sallese.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous.
Thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. See you in the next round.
We'll be
Looking
here.
forward to it.
Good night.
Take care.
You too.
Right,
Thank you. Next, we have some common victualler license renewals. So first we have 29 Culinary, DBA Nan's Market. And the wrong. We probably don't have any particular discussion on this.
Nope.
They are in compliance, they have returned all their paperwork.
That's right.
I recommend approval of their renewal.
And we have, yeah, thank you. We have Nan's and actually also DDK Coffee Shop in one motion, so I am ready when you are.
Just one comment, I would just like to extend my appreciation to DDK for their community service. You like to see businesses give back to the community, and they've been a really incredible help and service to the Council on Aging here in town.
Nice.
Just thought folks might like to know.
Yeah, that is good to know.
That's great.
So, Madam Chair, I move to renew the town's common victualler licenses for the following businesses for 2024. 29 Culinary, Limited Liability Corporation, DBA Nan's Market, 271 Great Road, and DDK Coffee Shop, 626 Great Road.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous. Next, we have Class 2 license renewals. So those, I believe, are also all in compliance.
They are, they've returned all of their paperwork, everything is in order. I recommend renewal of these four licenses. You will have some CV and Class 2s at your next agenda as well of folks that we just didn't get paperwork in by this meeting.
That's fine. Ready for a motion on the car license?
Madam Chair, I move to renew the town's Class 2 licenses for the following businesses for 2024. Carlot Express, 92 Great Road, Units 1 and 3. Dover Speed Shop Limited Liability Corporation, 370 Hudson Road. BGL Automotive Corporation, DBA Hudson Road Auto Inc. at 383 Hudson Road, and Patterson Auto Body Inc., 18 Great Road.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous. Right,
Here it comes.
Jonathan.
pitter pat, pitter pat.
Yeah.
Give me a chance to see. So we now have a request from StowTV.
Change the subject.
We heard you running.
Yeah. Awkward, but okay.
Jonathan, thank you for coming.
Oh, you're welcome, really far.
Yeah. Do you wanna say a few words about running fiber from
We had
this building to that?
an iNet connection for a long time, and it was getting old and out of date, and actually it was cut. It connected here, Old Town Hall, the library, the police station, and the two schools. Anyway, and when Center was renovated, it was cut. We had a grand tour, we all went around and we checked it. And anyways, Comcast was liable for that. We wanted an upgrade. So with our contract renewal, we put a proposal in that they would buy us out, buy the payout, not be responsible. We would use the money to upgrade to fiber. Unfortunately, the money, we got $30,000. It's not enough to connect everything, but we could connect here to Center and Hale. We thought that was the best places to use them. So we have it, and we have a contractor, and we just need the permissions from you and from the companies that own the poles.
Is that something that if anybody came up with some extra money could be expanded?
I'm sorry?
Would it work to expand it in the future if
Well,
money became available?
yeah, it can be expanded, so we could start with this, and then if we wanted to go further, I mean, it makes sense that we didn't put it in the library, it makes sense that we didn't put it into Old Town Hall.
Right,
So,
but maybe Pompo or maybe that's too.
yeah,
far.
Pompo would be allowed, because it's
Yeah.
a lot further.
Yeah.
Well, it's possible. Anyway, so, it would connect all those buildings, and if we wanted to do town meeting live, that would be a good way to go about it, rather than using Zoom or, I would think. And, if people wanted to do a telethon live from Hale, they could do that.
It's great.
We could do live performances from the schools, so.
So is that
That's
the main
pretty cool.
purpose of it, is video?
Actually, it has plenty of other uses. It could be used for security cameras, communication with between the buildings. It's not just, it's for whatever the town wants to use it for. It's 24 line system. You can move a lot of data.
You had a question, Denise?
So, not a question, I just wanted to add that, so telephone poles and communication, back in the day, the old municipal fire alarms, companies were required to leave space on telephone poles for municipal fire alarm space, and that's what we're asking permission to use. So the request tonight from you all is to grant access to the space that you control as the municipal fire alarm space, and then allow me to work with HLP and Verizon to then get their permission to run the fiber. As Jonathan said, we have the funds, we have a contractor ready to go. We certainly could look at having at least across the street and maybe to the corner of Library Hill, if that's the direction that the fiber is gonna go. Leave some fiber coiled up there to extend down the road at some point, or leave a connection available. We are working through the Verizon contract, and there's a possibility that there might be some capital funding or something in there that could be utilized as well to do the second phase of this. But it is a great resource. It would benefit the school. We could certainly give the school, 6, 8 strands of fiber that they can use between them for security system purposes or, just to exchange data between the two schools. And then for us, it's more for, I would say the benefit that the true town would have with the schools would be for filming capability and, if they were running, at one point in time, they were looking for a new location for school committee meetings. If they were doing a play, it could be broadcast live. So it just gives some more opportunity for people to see what's taking place there if there's programming or whatnot.
Yeah, and if you're going right by the library site, if that could be connected at a future date, then programming at the library could also be.
My guess is that wouldn't be much. That and if anything ever happened with Old Town Hall.
Yeah.
They're so close.
Yeah.
Should be easy.
Great,
And this is, sorry,
go ahead.
and this is better than the current 5G and 10G Wi-Fi networks?
Yeah. It's fiber optic and there's a lot of old,
Wi-Fi networks are on this fiber optic.
I'm sorry?
Wi-Fi networks are on fiber optic.
Well, it's a direct connection. It's not Wi-Fi.
Right, that's what I'm trying to understand is what do we gain since I'm assuming they're already using Wi-Fi to communicate the schools with each other and they communicate with the town building.
That's a question for the IT department.
Yeah. So we don't communicate currently with the schools. Fiber is a much more stable network than Wi-Fi. If there was something to happen or Wi-Fi was to go down, you never lose the fiber connection unless someone takes out a pole. So it is a more stable and it's a more, in my opinion, it's a more secure system. It's not as easily accessible from outside parties that could access Wi-Fi, and especially where we're dealing with schools and potentially other municipal buildings, you want to keep it as secure as possible. And this would actually allow us a loop system because the plan is to go across the street and I guess west on 117 to go to Center and then Center and Hale back. So if a pole were to be hit on Library Hill, it would just redirect and go in the other direction. If a pole were to be hit in front of Center School, it would reroute the other way. So it creates a loop connection, which is, it adds a level of redundancy that I don't think you would get with traditional Wi-Fi either.
We've talked to Hale and they have a closet full of old equipment that they love to get out of the way. This will be a lot smaller. There's a lot of old TVs and VCR players and stuff that will be removed.
Great. And this is all paid for by the Comcast contract.
Yep.
Revision, so.
Well, the installation there'll be another $10,000, but StowTV will pay for that.
That's great. Any other questions or comments?
No.
Let's move it.
We'll give you time to get back up there.
Yes, I can speak slowly. Madam Chair. I move to allow StowTV to use municipal fire alarm space to run fiber from the town building to Center and Hale schools. Further, I move to authorize the town administrator to work with Hudson Light and Power and Verizon for approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the moment we've all been waiting for it.
Really?
I brought up this discussion of the small jet expansion at Hanscom, and I want to say this, that on my reading of various materials, I can see that this is a fairly polarized conversation, and I'm okay with that. So I would just like to ask the board if we would like to act on this, and I mean, there could be discussion, but if we would like to take some action
Madam Chair?
Yes.
So I've looked at a lot of the stuff and read things, and I know that an environmental impact report is going to be issued. It is supposedly maybe this winter, maybe it'll be delayed until the spring. And it's gonna be a draft environmental impact report and then a final environmental impact report. And I think the reports that I looked at are so, especially the one that I sent the link to, which I thought was a neutral report, but then I'm reading it and it used words that are completely not neutral. So at this point, I don't think we have enough material, and I would like to, my recommendation would be to just table this until we have the environmental impact report and then make a conversation about a number of different things. So there's impervious cover, there's air, there's noise, there's environmental justice, there's rare species, there's just a lot of different types of things that are all associated with this proposed project. And I think right now there's just a lot of dust in the air.
Thank you. Other comments? Yes.
I would second everything that Ingeborg just said, and what I would ask is that if we are to have a discussion about this in the future, that there is a very clear ask for what the board is to be doing. That's all. I would ask for just a very clear ask as to what we should be doing as the Stow Select Board on this topic.
Understood. Yes. Thank you. Other comments? Great. So,
Moving on.
we can table it.
No moving.
Thank you. We have some donations to accept. Do you want to elaborate on these at all, or? These are,
They come every year.
yeah,
It's just a
We are very grateful for Mr. Rose and his donation, and he every year thinks of the police department, fire department, and animal control.
Really?
great.
Glad to hear it,
Yes,
thanks.
And these are unencumbered, just, here you go.
they go into a gift account to be spent as the departments see fit.
That's great.
Yep, they don't come with any contingencies or requirements, so.
great.
That's very nice.
It really is.
So Madam Chair, I move to accept the donations from Peter Rhodes for town departments listed below, $500 for the fire department, $500 for the police department, and $1,000 for animal control.
Second.
One question?
Yep.
Our packet says fire department is $550.
Yes,
That's
it was $550 last year, and we used the same cover sheet. It is $500.
that's $500.
Yes, I had asked for a copy of the check to confirm that.
Okay, great.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
That is unanimous. What do we do? Correspondence. Who has comments for, yes? Hector?
Two, one, that question about adding YouTube and Zoom, or having YouTube and Zoom and policy and stuff. I understand the nature of the correspondence that came in that's using registered trademarks, but it shouldn't mix the policy invalid,
No,
right?
and those are the company, we have a Zoom account. I mean, there's no secret that we pay for a Zoom account, and we use YouTube as our
And we have a YouTube
forum
channel, so,
for
yeah, okay.
meetings.
And if we change that, we can always change the policy to reflect the new.
Yes, and I would prefer, I would prefer both of it. Both of those stay in there, because if we do start having boards and committees upload, there's no question on what media they should be using. We have instructions on our website on how to access Zoom, and then everything is in one location, being YouTube.
Yeah, I don't wanna see things on TikTok.
Right, or different mediums, we, for whatever reason here, many employees have issues with, the Microsoft Teams. A lot of people can't access it, we have trouble with it, so Zoom has worked for us, and again, it's where we have our account, so I would like to see boards and committees continue using just the same Zoom platform.
Madam Chair,
Yes, please.
on that same note, before we switch topics, I've heard a couple of responses to this policy, and I'll be honest, Mr. Troxell's email was Greek to me. I mean, I understand parts of it, but but I did notice he offered to participate to help make any edits should we choose to go that route. One thing that I've heard, and I think it may be partly in here, is that there's a concern about privacy. And that some people don't wanna be seen on TV and out there for the rest of eternity. And I think this sort of discusses that too. But I think the privacy thing could be a deterrent, and I don't know the answer to it. There are people that just don't wanna be visible in public. And I know that on Zoom, they can stay black and they don't have to say anything, but that could also detract from them making comments. It's not an easy solution, but that, I just wanna let people know I've heard that comment about privacy. So,
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Response to that. I hear what you're saying and I understand what people are saying, but they're holding public positions.
no, people in the audience,
Oh, you're referring to the audience, okay.
yes, people in the audience, yes, no, obviously if a public official
Okay.
says, well, I need to be in private, that doesn't compute. But it's the people in the audience that may wanna say something or participate in a public meeting that have privacy, loss of privacy.
I understand, again, I absolutely understand what you're saying, but I have to be honest with the vast amount of social media and comments and everything else that everybody seems to make, whether it's TikTok or Twitter, which is now X, and there's a few others, that people have utilized over and over again. And fairly confident to say that a vast number of my fellow Stowites have used those platforms as well as what is it, neighborhood
Next door.
Yeah.
next door and a few of the others here in town as well, making comments concerning things that different boards have stated and
But
said.
that's a different, that's not addressing the concern that I raised about people who wanna make comments anonymously, or, I guess they can always write letters and they don't wanna be, so if something goes on YouTube, it's there, it's forever, and there may be people who aren't active on X and Facebook and Nextdoor and who do have thoughtful things to consider, but I would suggest then, I mean, it's probably a small percentage, it's just something I've heard, we don't have to solve it tonight, and then, Mr. Troxell's email here raises some interesting questions, and maybe what we just do is, keep what we have and just be aware that there are flaws and we may have to look at it again. Because we're not gonna make a decision, it's not on the agenda, we can't do anything tonight, but it's just something I've heard, so comment on the correspondence, period. Beep.
I also found it to be a fairly interesting and it seems to me well thought out
Yeah.
letter. And I think it might be worth, given this, my thought would be to perhaps just add a phrase at the end of our statement as to the platforms that we use and say we're another provider that the town may choose, something that sort of expands it a little so that it's not just saying, you have to use Kleenex and advertising, a particular product by its brand name and or specifying that. I understand that, it's easier to stick with products that, we've got accounts for and so forth. So, and I guess my personal feeling is that although I think it's complex if we make every policy into a big conversation with everybody about how they'd like us to write our policies,
Right.
I would like to have people feel that we're willing to be collaborative and hear constructive comments and perhaps take them into consideration. And so I would just ask the board if we would be willing to
Put it on the agenda.
put it on the agenda and see if there's any revision that might be helpful. Or
I'm
take
game.
a proposed revision from Greg or.
We also might need to make sure all the chairs announce at the beginning of the meetings that it's not just being recorded, because all the Zooms say that it's being recorded, but that it's also going on YouTube, so they understand it's not just a recording in the town vaults, but it is
Right.
out there.
No, I agree.
So
think-
we may just need to ask that, add that to it, or at least advise on that, in that regard.
Which would mean we'd have to do it at town meetings and on this
everything.
meeting and everything.
Well, we always say that this is recorded, right, but we don't
But
say
we don't
it's,
say about YouTube.
right.
And town
So-
meeting has been recorded, but it's not
Yeah.
announced.
I think we should do that from now on.
I'm all for revisiting it, and maybe before we revisit it, I mean, the policy's out there, so I don't know what the process would be to open it up to public comment after the fact. See if anybody else has other comments about the policy, and then we can revisit it after collecting other comments.
Can I make one statement to that? I too have heard comments about this. I would suggest that if people really want to speak about this and have comments, that they write us a letter, that they put it in an email, that they don't grab somebody by the ear and talk to them about it separately. Like, I get it, I get that this is a hypercharged thing, but like, they're putting us not in a great position to be able to have a real conversation about it if I'm like, well, Susie told me this, and you heard from so-and-so this, and blah, blah, blah. And I fully get it, and I understand that. I wish that if it was really something that people wanted, that felt that strongly about, that they bring it to us as a board so that we can actually talk about it. Because as much as we've all heard separately, no one's written to the select board office to,
Well-
as far as I know.
Greg has.
Well, Greg.
Greg has-
But he's not on a board. This is what I'm saying. Like, none of the board members have said,
But it doesn't
I
matter.
have an issue about it.
Right, but we should, I guess the question.
And I'm not saying
That's fine.
to discount what he's saying at all.
Right,
I think that he makes a lot of really good points, and this is great, and this is something we can come back to. I'm just saying that,
Well, I think to your point, if I could jump in.
yeah, please.
I feel like in general, that is a way to respond to getting input from our constituents, is to say, thank you for your comments, it would be really helpful to me if you would be willing to jot a quick
right.
note to the select board as a whole, so that we can put this in the public space in your words or whatever, and just encourage people, because I think that a policy is, I mean, it should be in place as written until it's amended. And if we decide to amend it in a month, then that's what we decide to do. I mean, it makes more work for our trustee,
Okay.
town administrator, but I mean, that's the only way that we can, evolve, if we're not being rigid. Yeah, go ahead.
There seems to be a bit of an irony, though, that we want people that don't want to be publicly identified to write us notes debating against being publicly identified, and their notes will be publicly identified. Which, that's the purpose of open meeting, I get it. I think if you're gonna participate in government, and I know we're not talking about boards, we're also talking about the general public. Yeah, you're in a public meeting, you're gonna be identified, but to expect people that don't want to be identified to write to us about something so they can be identified.
I understand, yeah. I think, I just wanna say something else, which is that the only way I know how to move forward in my life without fear about all sorts of things is to stand for what I believe in
Right.
and not be afraid that somebody is going to, cut me down for standing up for what I believe in. So,
Which is why
So
you're on
that's-
this board.
Denise,
I also just wanna remind the board that, the policy is not really a policy, it's a recommendation. And the thought process was it would be a bylaw that goes to town meeting. And I think personally, if that's the plan, then I don't know why you would wanna keep debating it here. Let people go to town meeting. Let the residents decide one way or another. I think it was obvious based on the special town meeting that people in this town want transparency. I would find it hard to believe if town meeting were to vote down a bylaw that increased transparency, allowed meetings to be recorded. But let that be the form. You can reiterate to whomever's complaining that it is a recommendation at this point, and when a bylaw is ironed out, everyone will have their chance to stand up and speak to it, and let the residents actually decide if the residents as a whole wanna see this move forward. Cause I think debating it here, when you still have no control over elected boards, is a little immaterial, because it's most of the elected boards that I've been hearing. Again, no one has come to the office. I got an email from the Conservation Commission with some questions, but that's it. So I hear a lot of it. I hear that I'm labeled as public enemy number one, because everyone thinks that I'm behind this. But the forum should be town meeting. It should not be, because again, you can't debate elected business. So I think I would just remind people it's a recommendation and you encourage it, but if not, it's their decision at this point.
And that was, along that line, kind of my comment that I don't wanna see us spinning our wheels for a minority of constituents. If the vast majority of constituents feel that this is appropriate and to move forward into a bylaw situation, then so be it. And I feel that we as a board have important issues and concerns that are coming up, and to continue to spin our wheels on something like this is a fool's folly.
okay.
Quite frankly.
And if I may just add to that one more time, and we can certainly take the comments that Greg has made about, I wouldn't wanna see in our bylaws a specific brand name, so we can fine tune that for a bylaw. And then we could implement a policy for that bylaw that Zoom is the platform that we have paid for, that we should be utilizing and so forth. But I think for the bylaw, it would be a much more generic and wouldn't mention specific brand names or softwares or anything like that.
Do you have a comment?
I just then have a question, because I have no problem with anything that's been said. So if we write a bylaw, what is the process? Do we invite volunteers to do that? Do we have an attorney work on that and have public hearings about it?
So, there's no requirement other than submitting it to the warrant. Town council goes over.
Who physically sits around a table and starts?
Yeah, I have samples based on the last few conversations, and then it would go to town council and you all to say,
Okay.
yes, this is what we wanna put in there.
Okay.
The discussions would be in public meetings, so it would be up to the chair if you wanna solicit public feedback. Otherwise, the feedback comes on town meeting floor.
Okay, thank you. Because then we could just at least let Greg know that that's the process and we'd love his input at the time.
Yep.
Okay, that's all.
Yeah, basically, I just, so I agree with the comments that I've heard, and I agree we don't need to continue to hash this out and then do a bylaw as well. But I feel like this process is perfect the way it is, because we did this. We're beginning to get some feedback. And we want feedback when we're doing something that's a big step. And I think it's great that people are giving us feedback, and the more, the merrier. Really, on any side of the issue, I'd rather have feedback than feel like I'm operating in a vacuum. So. Anything else in correspondence?
I had a question about these Xfinity notices. I'm an Xfinity customer and I don't get these detailed notices about price hikes.
But you're the license holder.
But I get them here as a member of the select board. Is there any way I mean, I guess just because it's part of the agenda packet, it's now public information or publicly available. Can we let people know, hey, your Xfinity costs are gonna go up, here's where you can find out what the cost increases will be?
I mean, you can share this with, I mean, it's public information. We get it because you're the license holder. So under the contract, they're required to tell you. I don't think the same as for the subscribers, unfortunately.
Apparently not.
But yes, I mean, they change a channel name and we get
Right.
notifications, so.
I noticed that too, but
Yes, yes.
this seems just a little more robust and just changing channels.
Right.
Seems a little trivial, but this one, people's cable bill is gonna go up and now they have an opportunity to know why, but okay.
Well, this is effective December 20th, so
Yeah, we got
maybe they would,
4 weeks, less than
Yep.
4 weeks.
so I guess that's,
And I still haven't seen the notice from Xfinity being this detailed about my cable bill about to go up again.
The interesting part is the franchise fee, which is what pays for our cable access, and ours is going down. Maynard's is increasing and our franchise fee is decreasing, so it's interesting that.
It is. Okay. That's the only comments I had.
great. We have no minutes tonight, so,
Joyce was on vacation last week.
okay. It's good.
Very.
So, Madam Chair, I move to adjourn.
Second?
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
That's unanimous.
All right.
That was a